Hello, everyone. Once again, Divine Ideas. Another day, another afternoon, another night in your favorite program. As usual, there's Rafael Cabrera co-hosting, and we have a very special guest, Kenny Estrella or Kenny Star. So, before we jump into that, Rafa, how are you today?
Man, what's up? I'm pretty good. Another Sunday here in Divine Ideas, Ideas Divinas for the people. And I'm great today. I'm great. Having fun, doing stuff, doing my meal prep for the week. And yeah, man, enjoying life. So, who's Kenny? How are
El
you, man?
Estrella.
Yeah,
I'm
Kenny La
good, bro.
Estrella.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's so great to meet you, man. It's really cool. And I previously didn't know that Mario had a podcast
Oh,
until
really?
he hosted a good friend of mine, Justin. And Justin posted it on his story. He was like, "Oh, I just got off this podcast with Mario." And I looked at it, I was like, "Wow, he also does one too." So much respect to both of you, man, because
Nice. Thank
it's
you.
it's it's a
Thank you,
good
Kenny.
skill to have, the
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
right.
conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
totally.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah, I usually try to practice with the people, but each time I go to a party or something, man, I put it on practice. To start talking with the people and start asking questions. People talk to you,
Yeah.
and yeah, it keep easy. But yeah,
And that's how
nice.
you make friends too. That's how you make those connections.
That's right. That's a fact. That's a fact. But who's Kenny Estrella? If you would have to present yourself, how would you do it?
Yeah, so I mean, before I start, I mean, thank you to the audience listening. Thank you to Rafa and Mario for hosting me.
You're
Um,
welcome, man. You're welcome.
and hola, a mi gente latino. I'll share
That's
my ideas divinas.
all right.
But thank you guys. Just to start, my name is Kenny Estrella. I am a third year, junior at SF State, San Francisco State University. I'm originally from SoCal though, so I come from Irvine, and I figured come up here because I wanted to study finance, and what better place to study the flow of money and technology as well than Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
just figured I'd come here. I didn't have a whole detailed plan for my 4 years in college, but I figured as long as I'm up here, talk to people, make connections, everything will kind of fall into place.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So you are in your third year of finance, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you like the finance. How you see the finance of the world right now?
It's interesting to learn because it's also like it goes hand in hand with so many other topics.
Right.
There's so much finance in, let's say, both politics, technology, which is one thing both Mario and I study. We kind of study the intersection of finance and
Finance and
technology,
technology.
known as fintech. I believe, it's obviously it's super closely related to the economy, economics, just so many other topics that finance is in as well. So it's a really cool thing to learn about because there's also so many pathways as well,
Right.
Right.
so many career options. So I just want to learn as much as I can. And I think at this point in my studies, um, I don't exactly know what career to get into yet, but
Right.
I want to explore all the different lanes and pathways.
Branches. Yeah.
Yeah, pick one from there.
Right. No, totally. Yeah, as Kenny was saying, we both are in this world of fintech. And to bring to the table, Kenny's also a host from the Fin podcast, and Fin is the FinTech
It's
Innovation Network. And he's doing a great
Nice.
job, man. He got me in the other week, I believe, past week, and it
yeah,
was it was great, man. Kenny is a great host, and I'm so happy that he's around, man. He's such a nice dude, and yeah, we're excited to meet you
it
deeper.
was so cool actually getting you on, Mario, since you're also a host as well.
Nice.
There were times you almost like took over the conversation and kind of guided it as well, and I was like, oh, this is a good episode.
Right. Nice. So when did you start that podcast? That podcast was on before you getting in the fintech in the finance group, or not really? Or do you
It
started
was
off from this?
about the same time. So Just for a little bit of context, I got accepted into this like study abroad trip to Brazil with a bunch of people I didn't know at the time. This was last year around April of 2025.
Okay.
And so what happened is, it was a fintech study abroad trip. So we visited Sao Paulo, Rio. We got to go to a ton of different offices, fintech related, so think like payment processing, cryptocurrency, investment banking, and we visited like one or two universities. But point is, a lot of us, it was a big group of about 14 people, I believe, including the professor that was leading us.
Okay.
But we were so interested and we were so excited to get to have an opportunity like that. A lot of us that weren't graduating yet figured, well, why don't we take this excitement and then build a club with it? And so one of the slightly older members of the club that also helped co-found it, she said, well, why don't we start a podcast? And she didn't have the time for it, but I figured, you know what? I love that idea. Let me take it, let me run with it and just learn as I go. So we started in, I believe it was fall of 2025, around maybe October.
Okay.
And it was a little bit of a struggle at first because, nerves and just not knowing
Yeah.
how to manage the equipment. So
100%.
a lot of us sat down together and um, one person was like, okay, so who's gonna host this thing? Who's gonna lead the conversation? And after maybe about 5, 10 seconds of silence, I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll
I'll
just
do
try
it.
it.
I'll take the
Um,
bullet.
and yeah, that's sometimes you just gotta say, well, send it, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
just so I did, and I they said I did a good job, but I mean, me personally, I was all nervous the whole way through. And so kind of episode after episode, I kind of started getting the hang of it. And now I feel like a little bit better, and I think it's also kind of translated into the skill of talking to people, which we were um, talking about a little bit before the recording started.
Right.
And I think it's such a valuable skill to really get people to talk about themselves because, first of all, it's always, you don't you're hosting them for a reason. You're trying to get kind of a sense of how their brain works and then any valuable information that they can share with you. But then
Right.
also it's I mean, people love talking about themselves.
Yeah.
So it's also a great way to kind of build that rapport and that almost like a relationship too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But it's been a
totally.
lot of fun, man. Like getting a hang of the equipment, the mics, the type of software we're using. Um, and it's been
It's a
a
whole
great
learning curve,
experience.
huh?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the first 2, 3 episodes I kind of struggled. We didn't have a lot of time last semester, fall of 2025. We did maybe like 2 episodes, and then a lot of us got super busy. But this semester, it's been pretty much every week. We've been able to go into the room, film an episode, just talk amongst our students, um, like our members, our officers, and um, kind of build out that skill as well, and then hopefully, use it in the professional world and any other endeavors we get into.
All
Yeah,
right. That's nice.
totally.
So it's
And
been
one
it's been a great experience.
and one question: what are the usually topics that you talk about in the podcast of the fintech? Because I remember that when I was in college, I was in the financial group too, and they had a podcast, and they usually invite some entrepreneurs, people of companies, and they just talk over there. They didn't talk with the students. So, what do you usually talk about it over there?
It's usually like what we're doing in like the present moment. So what exactly we're working on. Like for example, we did a we did a presentation at the BlackRock office, Mario, I, and then like four other students. And basically what I try to do, like my goal for each week is just to kind of talk about what we're doing, in that week and then, the time like around in that time period, like what's
Yeah,
going on, maybe touch on what's going on in the world and then especially what's going on in our fintech club. So a lot of it is just recap of other things that we're doing. um, I mean, another thing we did is me and Justin. Juan was a member of another episode, a guest. Him and I, we went with some other officers and some other students to a financial conference in New York,
All right.
and it was a great experience. 2 day conference. We got to learn a lot about what's going on in the present world and how these high level executives how they interpret that and how they view it.
Okay.
Super productive trip. And so when we came back, I the main topic of that episode was like, what did we do in that trip, and then how do we like it, and what did we learn from it too? So mostly it's
Right.
just current events.
All right. That's cool. Mario, you are so shy today. What happened
No,
with you?
no, zero, zero. I'm just, listening to Kenny's perspective, right? And Kenny's, learning core over the podcast. I mean, us as, hosts and owners as well. Like we know seems easy, but then so much details and so many things that you have to pay attention to actually, keep the constants and discipline,
I know
right?
it's
The
your podcast
consistency.
too, Mario, but
Well,
how has your learning experience been as well? Because I don't think I've asked you about that, and I
I
am kind
mean,
of
it's
curious.
it's been a whole curve, right? Like you start from the technical side, you start then for the clips, then okay, all these platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, how they all connect together, then how you do the thumbnails, how you do the little titles for the videos, so in a way that they call the attention, right? And at least for Rafa and I, we've been trying to, leverage AI as much as possible and, trying to automate a lot of the processes that we can. And, as I said, some people said software evolves. So if you're making this software and we're trying to, improve it, it's usually things that you're learning on the process, right? Like, okay, how can I make the process of making a thumbnail shorter than what I was doing last week, right? And how scale over these little improvements so eventually it'll compound and hopefully get a great outcome. But I mean, it's been great. I mean, for Ideas Divinas, it's just this idea for me to talk to Rafa every so often and also share our perspective from the world. And I think we have some value, and how do we perceive it, and how do we learn from all the things that are happening, not just here, but all over the world, right? Not just in your life, but in general. But I mean, it's been cool, man. It's a whole trip, and I like it. I really enjoy it. I don't know how Rafa feels about it. What do you think,
It's a
Rafa?
Man,
journey, isn't it?
Yeah,
man, that's a fact. It's 100% a journey. I mean, we start with an idea, just to talk, and then you start finding problems. Okay, you are talking too much bad words. You are talking not so fluent. You are saying these things repeatedly and sounds really bad. It's a process. It's a completely process of upgrading yourself, upgrading the podcast as it is. Yeah, make it more entertainment, bring more guests, start. Yeah, it's a whole process. It's a whole process for upgrading, but it's a curve, right? It's a curve. You start from the zero, from the background, then you start growing up, and at some point you look behind and see all the things that you passed through. And man, we're here, right?
yeah. And there's been times that we've been viral. There's been times that we had like funny guests, and it's a whole trip. It's a whole trip, but we
Yeah.
And I
just
would
wanna.
imagine, yeah, I would imagine it's kind of maybe it's a little like not difficult or cringy specifically, but like, looking back at your footage and being like, oh, well, how did I talk?
Okay.
Almost critiquing yourself.
Man, I don't see
Uh,
it. I don't. I don't watch it or too much cringe for me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if we look back into the first few episodes, man, they were awful. But I feel like we've learned and we've grown from it. But Kenny, coming back to you, man, where does Kenny invest his time? What do you do with your time, Kenny?
oh, that's a good one, bro. So right now specifically, I'm just trying to get through my degree progress,
All right.
taking as many classes as I can, but then also, everyone's so worried about the job market and my, trying to take the emotion out of that is like also how do I, there's this problem that was presented to like our whole generation. So kind of my take on it is like how do I solve this, or how do I at least get around it? And one thing is you also have to ask yourself, how do you stand out?
Okay.
So that's also one big motivation for
How does Kenny
helping.
stand out?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was one big motivation for starting that fintech club, and working with other people on these projects that can apply, that give you the skills which you can apply to so many other things, such as podcasting, for example. Another thing I know I mentioned to you guys before we got started, but I absolutely love the gym. I love hitting the weights. I practice a bit of MMA as well. I've done karate. I've done a little bit of running. So
Nice.
I love fitness. I would say also. Um, oh, also I'm taking some fellowships here at the school. One of those is technically a fintech fellowship, or it's consisting of taking two classes, and I believe you get a certificate at the end. There's another one where I'm kind of exploring commercial real estate. I attend a 2-hour seminar every 2 weeks.
Okay.
They go into like asset management, project management, construction, all these different things. And then lastly, this one kind of has nothing to do with my studies, but I'm doing another fellowship where I volunteer at a food bank, and I get paid a little bit of money every month that kind of it's supposed to help with my housing. That money, for the most part, I'm able to actually take that in and then invest it as well. Just kind of, ever since I don't want to freak anyone out, but because everyone's so worried about the state of the economy and the state of the world, I'm like, well, how do I make the most out of my youth, and also be able to build, let's say, like a portfolio that's eventually going to pay off when I'm much older. Um, so just a lot of things on my mind.
Yeah. Do
Getting
you
through
do you invest in the markets or not really?
a little bit. Yes, I
A
have
little bit.
some. I have a stake in a company called CleanSpark, which is like a miner, Bitcoin mining company. I think they've also expanded to have a little bit of involvement in AI. Um, but what I try to do, and what's a little bit difficult sometimes, is just invest in a company or in multiple companies, and just not look at it every day,
Right.
because the market fluctuates a lot and it can really get to your head. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no,
there's
at least that's why at least index funds and ETFs in general, like they're a good investment, and you're pretty much, get some return of your value, and you can forget about it, and you'll kind of know that it's gonna be safe there. And if you want to be more safe, you just go to bonds or, treasuries, right? And, well, you'll know better than me. You're the finance student, right? But
a little bit.
anyways,
I'm still learning as I go.
you're still learning as I go, right? So. Tell us a bit more about the weightlifting. Do you make it competitively, or how's that work out?
I'm thinking about it actually. I think the reason I got started was I was going through a lot around my junior year of high school, just a lot of feelings of depression, that like I wasn't good enough. And I know this is looking back, I know
Yeah.
this is kind of a common theme of
Yeah.
kids that age as well. But at the time I was like, well, I don't really have anything going for me, and I just I mean, I also felt like kind of a loser, like I wasn't really doing anything. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I start this process of building myself up? And I think a big pillar of that is also fitness, and keeping yourself healthy, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, your health is also your wealth.
That's
Um,
right.
they say, each on the daily, you can have like 99 problems, but then when you're sick, you only have one problem.
Yeah.
So it's a big part of that. And I think also, me, I would say, at least me, as a getting to my years as a man, I think a big part of it is also pushing myself to the limit, and then seeing how far my body can go.
Okay.
Um,
Like
before
goggins.
Yeah.
And
So it's just
okay, that's nice. Do you consider yourself that you push yourself to the limits when you are working out, or some days you don't do it and that's it?
yeah, that's it's and it's kind of it's almost similar to the stock market with the fluctuation because there's days where
All
you're
right.
busy, you're stressed, you're
Also,
anxious,
all right.
you're not feeling it, and it's just also putting in that work consistently.
Okay.
And as you guys said with like podcasting, for example, it's also a skill you need to build.
Yeah,
So, you know, now that I'm looking back after what 4 or 5 years of consistent lifting, it's just also seeing that progress and having some appreciation for it.
that's right.
It's a really beautiful feeling.
That's
Um,
right.
I'm sure
I
maybe
I
both of you
agree.
guys can also relate on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Each time I see myself shirtless, I see a beast, I see a guy that push himself every day in the fucking gym. And people notice it, people notice it. And when you see a person who's fit and is healthy, you notice the discipline, you notice the work, and people notice it too.
And you
So,
can't buy that either.
no, you cannot. You
Like you
cannot.
can't
That's
just
for
pay
sure.
someone be like, "Oh, give me abs like in an instant."
That is a
Yeah,
fact.
It's not
that's
possible.
that's not possible. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, fitness is super important for, just mental health. I think for me, just the mental health that you get, just feeling good with yourself and all of that. It's just enough reason for me just to go out and take a run or hit the gym, make some push-ups, and just keep pushing, right? And but also another question I wanted to ask you, Kenny, that just popped out in my mind, a divine idea, right? Like you said that you are from SoCal, from Irvine, and I wanted to know because there's always this argument, no, the people from SoCal are so different from the people from NorCal, and how's that? Have you noticed that difference? I mean, it's a different vibe, it's different people, or it's just BS, and you think it's pretty much the same thing?
I think for the most part, it's pretty much the same. I think the only differences you might notice is a little bit of the slang, but that's about it. Nothing significant. Maybe, but also maybe I'm talking as someone who's kind of become uh
A
not a
NorCal
NorCal
guy?
native, but it's like, kind of
Yeah.
assimilate into this slightly different culture. So but going back and forth too, it's from SoCal and NorCal, it does kind of seem the same. Um but yeah, I mean just like the language um some of my friends use depending on where I'm at, it's just very slightly different. And I'll have to ask, I'll be like, well, what do you mean by that?
Right,
Because it
right,
changes so rapidly too.
totally.
But I think that's really the only thing. I think both areas of California also do have a lot of I've seen a lot of disciplined people, lots of hard workers, um, people with all this drive and this passion to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And I think that's also a very respectable trait about all Californians as well.
Yeah, no,
All right.
totally. What you think,
Great.
Rafa?
Yeah, 100%. I have a question for you. Uh, do you think in your finance club there is this political system or political dynamics that exist, but nobody see them, but they are there, and people have to deal with them? How you deal with them? If
Do
they
you mean
exist, if they
like
exist.
politics within
Yeah,
the club?
yeah. Do you think they exist over there? These dynamics,
Whoa.
politics, or not really?
You're in the spot, Kenny, huh?
Oh yeah.
These power games in the club.
These hierarchies and stuff, or not really, or all the people has the same word and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, technically, yes, everyone does have the same work. We try
Okay.
to structure it almost like a startup. So we have titles of like, CEO, COO, Chief Operations, CFO, and then like director of this, director of that, and then maybe like for example, we have a growth officer, we have a external relations officer, like all these different departments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as for politics, I don't know how much I should get into it. but I think
Man,
amongst a,
no, shut up. Stop.
amongst I'd say two of the founders specifically, there's been a little bit of friction
All right.
in terms of like, but I think a lot of it has to do with what type of information they're getting from outside sources.
Yeah.
Um, and they'll be like, well, this is how this is supposed to go because so and so said this. And maybe the other officer will be like, I don't want to name names here, but they'll be like, oh, well, this person said this, so we should do things this way. And then there'll be like almost this not an argument, but it's almost like a like
Debate.
very yeah, debate. It's like passionate discussion.
Okay.
Um,
Right. Just to you pick your point, right? Like, I think politics are everywhere and we practice it every day in our lives, right? And there's these
That's right.
dynamics, there's people that,
Yeah.
want to get something, or to get something you need to, appeal to people or such and such, right? If you read the 48 laws of power to get that, if you read the social
Mhm.
contract, there's politics everywhere, and we just have to abide by the social contract and how our society is built. Um,
Yeah.
so I feel like you cannot escape them, and every organization with any hierarchy will have some of them, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
how you feel about clubs in general at the university? What's your perspective on university per se? Because at least Rafa, for instance, and correct me if I'm wrong, uh, has, and I also in a way have this idea that universities, are kind of outdated, and maybe the system should be changed to, learn
Mm.
differently, or, you know, boosts different skills rather than, the way that's been done since, I don't know, hundreds of years, right? So
Yeah.
what is your perspective? You like university? What you think of these clubs that you can form in there? The Greek life, for instance, you can talk a little bit about that because maybe our audience don't even know what the Greek life is, right? So
The
all
Greek
of these
life.
things, what's
I
your
don't know
your
about
idea
that.
on that?
Classes are definitely outdated. I think the especially teaching styles as well. I'm kind of guilty of this, but I've seen this in other students as well. A lot of professors will just be like, "Oh, well, this is X, and this is how this works, and then this is Y, and this is how this." Like they'll be monotone, and it's like and I think teachers are also regular teachers, like in primary school, elementary, middle, high school, are sometimes also guilty of this, but it's not like they don't present like what the purpose of that information is. Like they just throw it at you and expect you to memorize it. So you're and especially for the kids who, care about their GPA and stuff like that, a lot of it tends to become, you're just packing all this, your brain with all this information, and then you kind of just throw it up on the test and then you forget it. In terms of academics, I think that's a big issue. It's presenting information in a way that's engaging, especially with our generation now. Attention spans are declining with, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and all this short form content. And that's also why I think clubs are so great, is because, you get to work on things that you're passionate about and that you're super interested in. Like, for example, podcasting for me. And I'm sure, that's a similar thing with you, Mari, because you're working on this kind of lending project as well within the club, and you're clearly I can see you're so interested in it, um, and so I think that's almost I think that's a game changer for a lot of people when it comes to
Right.
like their own personal progress and their academic progress. It's also contributing to a project with a community of people or multiple projects, and building those real life skills that you can use like in the workforce and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
it's just, I do think classes need a revamp though, like with the way with first of all maybe with the type of information they're giving us, because a lot of it's based off of textbooks that were written like 30, 40 years ago, but then also with the way they present information, because I've seen a lot of kids just go on their phone on and even in like finance classes, for example, technically these are classes that people are supposed to like they want to take these because unlike high school, you can actually choose your studies. So it's
Okay.
like everyone taking finance classes technically want to be there, but then the professor is just so like almost monotone and it gets boring for a lot of kids. So like I'll see a lot of classmates, they're just scrolling reels or they're doing something else. And for me, actually, funny enough, I've had so many instances where like I'm in the middle of a class and I'm like I just can't pay attention. And then suddenly I start working on like club things.
Hmm.
So like the fintech club projects that were the like um I need to be working on like different tasks I need to get done. So it's like I'm working on the fintech club project stuff during my actual class. Um so I love clubs and I absolutely I think they're a must for a lot of students. First of all, just keeping yourself engaged and also building out skills that are super valuable. Um,
Right.
but yeah, classes do need a revamp. As for Greek life, though, I'm not sure. I'm not super involved in it in terms of like, fraternities and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, I've been invited to, one, two, maybe three different frats and business frats as well. But I'm not too sure how they work and how similar they are to regular student run clubs.
Yeah, no, me neither. I just thinking that you might have, more information as you're born here and the American lifestyle. It's part of the American university lives, and that
Yeah,
is one of our ideas to get, a gist of it, right? But yeah, definitely, clubs I think are important because you meet with people that are, have similar interests, or they're like-minded, and it's fun. It's fun to just work with people and, communicate and socialize. And I think we as human beings are born to that
we're wired
for
for
doing
that.
that in
Yeah.
a way. Yeah,
Yeah.
but to shift gears a little bit, is there anything that you've learned recently, Kenny, that you think it's crazy, like in the last few weeks or in the last month, something, I don't know, some technology, AI or agentic AI or something like that that you think, wow, that's crazy? Or,
Yeah.
is there something that's called your attention recently, either in the news or I don't know, maybe the guy who went to Nat from the guys from NASA who went to the moon or and back, like what kind of
Oh,
stuff
dude,
has called your attention lately?
I love that, man. Um, I totally forgot to consider that. I totally have this huge interest in, space and the
Oh,
cosmos and our
really?
place in the universe as well.
Nice.
Dude, I was so interested to see that, we're finally trying to go back to the moon
Okay.
and wondering how it all, like, how does it work? How are we also able to build these such powerful rockets and get ourselves off this planet? Um, but then also like, what are the next steps, for exploring like the solar system and the universe. And
Right.
it's just it's something I love learning about. Honestly though, when you mentioned something I learned and something that really stood out to me, I was still my mind was still in fintech and both finance and technology. And I was thinking about also when I was out in Brazil, you know, a lot of people had like there was no cash used at all, and that just completely blew me away because in the US a lot of people still pay with like paper dollars and coins, but then out in both Sao Paulo and Rio, even the street vendors they have like their little machines. I forgot what the formal name is for them,
Yeah, the POS,
Yeah.
but like
points of
yeah,
service.
exactly. So it was, I mean, it was crazy because I guess sometimes even the government, the Secretary of State, they're like, oh, well, this is a third world country. You need to be careful about X, Y, and Z. But then I went over there, and honestly, some of their fintech technology is better than ours, and they're supposedly a third world country. Um, so it's also, I think both those topics, let's say fintech and then space as well, it's also a lot of it's exploration and figuring out not only the world around you, but then also what's out there as well. I could talk about both a lot, but they're both such
Right.
interesting topics, man.
Do
Yeah,
you
but
use
before we
AI at
can,
all or not really?
Yes, actually
Yeah.
I tried to, bro.
What do you
I've
use?
gotten I used to use ChatGPT. I
All
technically
right.
still have the subscription for it.
All
But
right.
I'm trying to get into Claude because I've heard it's I don't know if it's improving faster than Chat.
Yeah, it's another
But I
deal. It's pretty
yeah,
good.
dude, it's amazing the way it's and I think it's I don't know, I haven't used it too much, but I think it is oftentimes more accurate than ChatGPT.
All
It's
right.
seeming like it.
It could
Yeah,
be. It could be for sure. Yeah. What you
yeah,
think,
it
Rafa?
could.
You've been working on it for this last few days
Yeah,
and been going
yeah. I've
crazy
been
with it,
working
huh?
with cloud, but I think the difference between ChatGPT, OpenAI, and cloud is that cloud has this tool, no, co-work that is actually an agent that works for you. So ChatGPT doesn't have that. I think that like the system of just a chat interface that you talk and he respond back, man, that's in the past. I think right now the big deal is the agents, the those
Mhm.
machines that work for you and actually do work for you. Yes, I think they
Have you
are.
guys seen that I don't know if they're like reels on Instagram, but this one guy he made I don't know if it was with Claude or Chat, but he made a whole like AI agent that replicates like Jarvis from Iron Man.
Yeah, I
And
saw
so
that girl.
he'll do the clap and
Yeah.
everything. He'll be like, "Well, good morning," and it'll kind of go into like what's happening in the world, and it's literally like Iron Man in real life. It's so
uh,
cool.
Yeah.
yeah, I have seen it. I have seen it actually, but yeah, I think that a lot of YouTube videos that you see, they are just talking shit or doing stuff that actually doesn't have fun actual functionality, or something that can generate value. Or the majority of the things that you see in YouTube are, just in my way, in the way I see it. It's just people doing fucking stuff that I don't know, I don't like it. Like, okay, I made this agent that can read my emails and can drop all the draft and can clean all the spam or stuff like that. So it's
Hmm.
like, okay, I can do it too, but what's the value of it? What's the value? So but I think that with cloud you can do a lot of things, you can do anything you want. Anything. Yeah, so I recommend it to you actually. Yeah, stop paying ChatGPT and start using cloud.
Are
100%,
you
that's a fact.
referring to like a lot of people getting lazy with like basic stuff? Because I know that's a super common occurrence, and I'm seeing
Uh,
it more often.
No, not really, not really, not in the lazy sense. I think that more in the things that doesn't have a real value. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I will create this agent that clean my spam folder. It's like, okay, the spam folder is always high, you don't need to clean it, motherfucker. So
Or you
yeah,
can
stuff
just
like that.
push a button and clean it yourself, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
it's like,
Yeah.
it's
mm,
what problems are you solving, right? But there might be people that works perfect, right? So
yeah, for
it's just
sure, for sure,
different
for
use
sure.
cases and different ways to see technology. But I don't mean we're getting to this age of, well, is there a general intelligence, agentic general intelligence, or AGI, right? Or what's going to happen in the world, like in the philosophical sense, what's humanity now? Is humanity going to become this life with a machine, and are we just going to put chips in our brains and enhance our lives in that sense, or we're just trying to keep ourselves humans and then get all the computers working for us? But all of this is just to bring this point over, theology and religion, right? Like, I wanted to know, Kenny believes in science, believes in God, and believes in, what does Kenny believe in? Aliens,
I
maybe? Or
aliens. I do actually. I think there's no way we're alone in this universe, bro. Um, but as for religion, I would say like I don't closely follow a specific one. I have a lot of respect for people who do, think like Christians, Muslims, for example. Like the way some people they're so dedicated to their faith. It's I think those two also kind of give you like they give you a really good moral compass. Um, I know I'm mentioning Christianity and Islam specifically because those are the two I hear about the most. But I think a lot of these faiths, yeah, they help you kind of find that line between right and wrong, which some people struggle to find that. Um, as for what I believe in, like I don't follow a specific one. Um, I do believe there is a higher power though, but I don't know if I haven't yet concluded whether, it's actually like a god, like a physical being, or if it's just the universe as a whole. Um, I'm open to the possibility of one or the other, but I'm kind of, at a point where I'm like stepping back and I'm like, okay, well, I think I do believe there's a higher power, but I just don't know what it is.
Right. Okay.
Nice. What do you think, Mario? You think
No, I
about that?
think, yeah, I mean, religion is such a broad topic, right? And you have every part of the world have their own version in some way, shape, or form, right? And I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful that, the human condition just tends to, cling to this, either a god or, these ideas that, well, there's something beyond ourselves. And I think that's the
Mhm.
conclusion that most of them lead to. But
It's
yeah,
also
I mean, it's
comfort, right? Like, you know, we all know we're gonna die as well, but then the question is, well, like, what happens after? Is there a
right,
part of us that lives forever? Because I think also the thought of like us just we die and then there's nothing else after that. It is kind of scary. Um,
right,
Especially I'm sure like the closer and closer you get to that point where your time's up, because we're all here on Earth for a limited amount of time. And I think it's like a sense of reassurance. Like let's say for example, if like I do believe honestly, I do believe that, we have a spirit that also lives on after we die. So at least from my perspective, I think of it as like, okay, well, we've been put on this earth for a specific reason, to live a specific life, to learn something from this life, and then take that and then just keep, almost keep evolving as like spiritual beings as well. Um, I wouldn't be surprised, or I would to me it would with that theory it would make a little bit more sense if we live multiple lives as well, like maybe we live one, maybe like one life is, for example, like we're this really good person that takes gets taken advantage of, and that's one of the things we have to learn in a specific lifetime, and then maybe in another, um we're put on this earth and we be like maybe we become a bad person, and there's all these lessons about treating people better that we need to learn.
right,
And I think it's just like all these different lessons we're getting out of, I mean, out of just life in general.
right.
Um, but I think
No,
they are really beautiful lessons, and it's almost like building yourself out of, like, as a person, but on an expanded scale with these multiple lifetimes.
yeah,
All
no,
right.
and then in your lifetime, you get to live love, you get to live art, you get to live, friendship, and all of these, little
Yeah.
experiences that, they're crazy, man. It's interesting. I wonder if you had a favorite movie, a favorite book that you want to talk about a little bit, and why is it, favorite to you, or even
I thought
artists
of
and
two.
music. What like brings those emotions or had brought those emotions out for you? If if you're comfortable sharing, I guess.
Actually, three. I have three all-time favorite movies. First of all is The Wolf of Wall Street. I know maybe some of you are kind of familiar with that,
All right,
but
yeah.
it's
It's a
it's
good movie, 100%.
it yeah, it's so, I mean, it's so inspiring. Look, I know, what was the name? Jordan Belfort was,
Do you want to
he
be
was
like
convicted of
do you
he
want
was
to be like
convicted of all these
Jordan? Or
crimes.
not really?
Yes, but without breaking the law and ending up in prison for some time.
Okay.
But I just have so much respect for, like, his ability to sell something to someone.
Yeah.
Like for example, it's like being able to sell to sell sand to someone in the Middle East. It's like that type of sales ability and that ability to talk to people is just it's so valuable. And I think
Yeah.
that is one motivation for starting podcasting too. Um, I think another movie would probably be The Martian. I
Mm.
forgot who
Matt
forgot
Damon,
what the
right?
I think it was Matt Damon, yeah.
yeah, Matt Damon. I forgot what his character's name was called. Mark
Mm.
Mark Watney, something like that. But it's like where
Okay.
he goes. I think he's on a mission to Mars with a team, and I think they get when they land on the red planet, they get caught up in a like some type of like really intense sandstorm, and I think he gets flung like several feet away from the rest of his crew, and his crew has to leave because it's the conditions are just too dangerous at the time. So they take off and they fly back, but then they leave him stranded there, thinking he's dead. And turns out he wasn't. So I guess the mission for him is just trying to survive on there while they send supplies and
Okay.
send another another landing module to get him out of there and get him back to Earth. Um, the third movie I would say is the DC Comics Justice League movie, but the extended cut. There was I've been really disappointed that they've been having a lot of issues with actors in the DC universe and a lot of scandals happening with different actors and just bad directing and all these movies that are flopping. Because I really love that whole like DC Comics universe. But there is this one where there's this really good director named Zack Snyder. I know he's directed a lot of other award-winning movies. Um, but he directed this specific cut of the Justice League, and it was such an interesting plot and a really cool movie to watch. It was 4 hours too. I
Wow.
Wow.
remember I was on vacation in Mexico when I first found out that there was this other movie as well because the regular Justice League movie was just it was kind of boring. Like there was all this like build up, and then when it came time for like a climax, then the movie just ended. And so I was a little disappointed. So when I found out Zack Snyder made his own cut, it must have been like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it. I'm just gonna stay up and watch this.
All right.
And I didn't finish until like 6 or 7 in the morning, and I
Wow,
ruined my
that's
sleep
fine.
schedule, but it was so yeah,
Exactly.
All right. Was worth it, 100%.
yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
worth it.
Do you read books at all, or not really?
I did, but I'm gonna call myself out here because my attention span sucks, and I'll read. I'll get to the way my brain is, bro. Like I'll read like 3 pages of a book, and by the time I get to the third page, I'm like thinking about something else. So I'm
Okay.
like kind of fake reading, and then I'm like, well, what did I just read? And then I have to go back and do it again. Um, there is a book that a friend recommended to me.
What's it called?
Well, Locke technically, from
Oh,
the
okay.
FinTech Club. He recommended this book
Shout
on
out to
technical
Log, man. Love
analysis,
you, Log.
and I've been wanting to get to it, but like knowing how I am, I'd rather just get a group of people together, all of us, either read at the same time or maybe we meet like every a week or two or something like that, and
All right.
kind of read a certain number of pages and discuss what we've learned. I think
All
that'll
right.
help a lot more.
What's the name of the book again? Sorry.
Um, Technical analysis on multiple time frames by that one investor he always talks about.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's Bill Graham or something. Or
Bill
Peter
Graham's a good
Lynch.
one. He made the Intelligent Investor.
that one. Okay.
But this
I
other
don't.
guy, let me see.
Peter Lynch.
Let me see. Technical analysis on using multiple time frames. Brian Shannon.
Brian
Brian
Shannon. Okay.
He
Shannon.
always he always mentions that name because I think he Locke respects a lot of Shannon's work. Um, but that is a book I wanna get into. I have the actual copy of it. Um, but I do want to get to reading it, especially when I have more time, like when the semester finishes.
Yeah, no, totally.
Right.
I will make you a recommendation, man. Get Audible and just put it on audio. Man, it sounds lame. It sounds maybe not. Maybe I'll get bored, but after you get the gist of it, man, it's pretty addictive. I'll tell you that. Like Rafa and I are sharing an Audible account, and it's working great, man. You you get a
Oh,
lot
that's
of
cool.
reading in just by listening, and you know, Rafa can talk a
I've
little
heard a
bit
friend
more
that
about it.
does that, yeah. A friend from work, he'll be like just out. Because I actually help with I work in a little bit in club promotion. I had a friend from the gym be like, "Hey, do you want a job?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. I'd love to work." And basically what he does is three different three different types of jobs where one of them is let's say one of them's called let out. So you go to the ends of like clubs, events, parties, and stuff like that, and you pass out flyers to people for like after parties and
Yeah.
other events. And sometimes also I'll just go around the city. My boss will send me out to either put posters up on poles or try to put them in front of store windows, like ask the manager if that's possible. But I had another friend tell me like even like while he's doing that, like he'll put on a podcast, put on his headphones, podcast or an audiobook. Um, so it's like one of those things that you can totally do just maybe like when you're walking to class or something like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do need to get into
100%.
that.
And
totally.
Kenny, do you consider yourself a good speaker? And if it is, what are those daily practice that you keep going to, to keep it grading?
A good speaker.
Like a
One to
public
10.
speaker.
No, like a daily speaker,
Per
ongoing person, people who can talk with whatever they want, on
Yeah,
a regular.
I love talking to people and I love making friends. I love having those deep conversations and learning about people. Um, as for like let's say in a more formal setting, not so much, but I've gotten good feedback from other friends and colleagues of mine being like, "Hey, you're actually really good at articulating your ideas." Um, like I don't think so, but I know I'm overly critical because it's myself I'm judging.
Yeah.
But I've gotten good feedback. Like, you know, I was really worried about a presentation that Mario and I and some other members did at the BlackRock office over like what our fintech club is about. And honestly, I was stressing so much when it was my turn to speak. It's almost like the whole crowd just kind of went blurry, and
That's
I was
right.
like so unfocused on what I was seeing and more so just wondering what I was gonna say. Um, like it's weird 'cause it's not like I blacked out, but I was so like I was in a different mental state.
You were in the flow
Uh,
state, 100%.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so, but it was very stressful and it was very nerve-wracking. Just because I feel like my presenting and presenting and more formal conversational skills aren't super sharp yet. But I love talking to people, especially like in casual settings. I love making friends. I love kind of, figuring out people's like timelines, what made them the way they are, what lessons they've learned, what challenges they face as well.
Yeah.
Um, it's just making those connections.
True. And what
Hmm.
does the future brings to Kenny?
What does
Big
the
plans.
future bring? Oh, one big thing I'm excited for is I'm gonna spend my last year in France studying abroad. I'm gonna go to Nice to the I don't know if it's Schema or Schema School of Business. Um, finish out my degree out there for the whole
Okay.
year. I was originally planning to go for a semester this coming fall and then try to graduate after that.
Okay.
But what I realized is if I'm going to be abroad, I might as well go for the full year because if I try to take a ton of classes in one semester, I'm not even going to enjoy the country.
Okay.
So I'm super excited for that. I had a friend tell me actually yesterday or last night that they actually make movies on this. Maybe like a college student spends his first 3 years, just out of school, and then the last year he goes abroad, and all these crazy things happen, and like it's a
The
not
Wolf
not
of
rare, but
Paris.
it's like a common. Yeah,
Okay.
the Wolf of Paris.
The Wolf of Paris,
Nice.
man.
Uh,
He's eating croissants and
but it's a common movie plot, so
yeah, no, I
you
know.
know that kind of made me think like, wow, there might be a lot in store out
Yeah,
there.
we might need to interview you like no, I don't know, 8 months or 6 months ahead, and you tell us your
Yeah,
experience in France and how's that look like, you know?
yeah, dude. I'm excited to learn more of the language because I studied French for like 3 years in high school. I think just knowing English and then Spanish as well made me take up the language or learn it much more easily because there's
Okay.
so many words and phrases that are so common to either English or Spanish both. Um, and since being a junior in college now, it's been about 3 years since I've last practiced my French, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to make connections out there. And also even on the academic side, figuring out like what's finance in the financial markets, like what are those like in France, and um like how do I what can I learn out there that I can take back with me to the States.
Right.
Okay.
Totally.
Sounds good. I have a question for you, a personal question.
Hmm.
So you're taking all these classes of business and finance. What are you trying to get out of them? What
I
is the
would
goal? What is
say
the final goal?
I mean, my first thought was just making money, figuring out how money flows and how do I position myself to so that I can have some of that money flow to me personally.
Okay.
um that's a really good question. I think to go deeper though, I was also, I was raised by immigrant parents. My dad is from Querétaro in Mexico, and
All
my
right.
mom is from Ciudad de Mexico, so Mexico
Okay.
City.
Yeah.
And both of them, my dad worse than my mom, but both of them had, this difficulty making ends meet. Their parents as well. So they grew up. They came from very humble beginnings, basically. They both immigrated to the States young, and they were just trying to. At times, they would struggle to, pay rent or get food, and it was a struggle for them. So, um, hearing their stories, I think it's been very inspiring, and I want to make sure that them, first of all, coming here, but then also having me as well, it pays off for them at the end. Um,
All right.
and also just representing our people, man. I think there still is quite a bit of a like an imbalance of wealth in us not just Mexicans but Latinos in general versus other ethnic groups. And
You
I
think
think it'd
so?
be yeah, I think it'd be great also to
All right.
see some more successful Latinos in just any position where they're like successful and
All
just
right.
kind of inspire all
All
of our
right.
other people as well.
All right. Sounds good. And as a finance student, why do you think that difference exists between the racial, in between for example, the whites and the Latin?
I think a part of it is kind of how we live as well. I would say from my from my personal observations, I
Okay.
think white people specifically they have a skill of well, the way they live their life is more individualistic. So let's say like your classic American like mainly just cares about like what am I doing? How do I become successful? Um, and then we'll figure it out from there. Versus like let's say Latinos, for example, it's more so about the community. Like how do I help my family? How do I help my friends? And not to say that one specifically is much better than the other, but
All right.
you know, I've seen a lot of like, classic American households or maybe like white kids as well, um, end up getting more distant from, their families and some of their friends, but then they end up with a lot more money.
Yeah.
Um, But then Latinos, for example, we're so focused on the community. It's less about us as an individual and more about like how do we help our family. So I'd say the on the good side of that, you're getting all these experiences where we're wired to want to um, experience as a human being. So like that sense of connection to your friends, family, and the wider community. Um, but maybe there is a bit of a sacrifice in terms of like the amount of money you make.
Yeah.
Um,
All
so I
right.
think, especially since not all people are the same, I think it's really important to figure out exactly what you want as well. And I do think a lot of the time, helping out your family and helping out your community is extremely important too. Um, because what good does it do to make, let's say, $1 billion, but then because you've ignored everyone your whole life, then there's no
Yeah.
one at your funeral, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's a fact.
Yeah,
It's a
no,
fact. Yeah.
100%.
100%. So, how much do you think will be your dream salary? How much you want to make per year? And how much is that amount that will make you happy? Or you think will make you happy?
I want end goal, I would say I want at least in the millions.
The
I
millions?
know it's a pretty ambitious goal.
But how many?
Um, how many
Full tech?
millions?
Yeah, we have to be specific, bro.
At least 100, bro. At
Oh
least a
man,
hundred,
nice. Go
if,
for it,
if
bro.
possible.
100%. Go for it.
But I also want to stay connected to my community, man. Like I don't want to just, only focus on myself and just start forgetting about everyone. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out the right balance for it.
All right.
Um, because I think there is, to extent I do need to focus on a lot of my own goals as well. But then at the same time, like I need to remember the people who are with me since day one and not ignore
Okay.
those people, not lose the connections I've already made.
Do you
Right.
think you can? Do you think you can reach the 100 millions
I
with
think
having
so.
that balance?
Absolutely, but it depends on exactly what pathway you take to get there.
All
So if,
right.
if let's say you're working in like corporate finance and you work your way up to like a CEO level, you'll definitely make in the tens or hundreds of millions, but it's going to take so much time out of your day, and it's going to be hard to maintain close connections with friends and family and the overall community. I would say maybe a more preferred method for me would be some type of content creation,
All
because with
right.
that you can scale so much,
Okay.
but you really just work in your own time and you can set your own schedule.
Okay. So,
So I think like for me specifically, I would be so down to just keep podcasting
all
after the
right.
semester's over, like have my
All
own
right.
podcast as well personally.
Well,
That's great,
you
bro.
might get some fans from here.
Uh, or we
Yeah.
we
Who
do a
knows?
collab, man.
Huh?
Yeah,
Be
for
awesome.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And Kenny, last
Yeah.
question. Last question. And let me ask you this. Last question for me. And Mario can keep going if he wants. If the whole world is listening to you right now, what will be your message? The whole world is listening to you.
Take care of yourself in any way you can. Um, treat yourself right. The I'd say the most important voice to listen to is the voice in your head, and you need to make sure that that voice is always on your side. Because at the end of the day, not to say no one's going to come help you, um, but I mean, there are times where that statement might apply, and
Yeah.
there's times you're going to be on your own completely, and you need to be on your own side. I think that's the most important thing. Take care of your mental health, take care of your own physical health as well, your personal well-being. Just keep yourself safe, keep yourself happy, satisfied, but I mean ambitious as well to accomplish your own goals. Don't forget your dreams at all. Don't lose yourself always trying to impress other people. Just take care of yourself, and I think almost pretty much everything else falls into place after that.
All right, man. What
That's
a
a great
great
message,
message.
man.
That's a great message. Yeah.
Well, Kenny, I
Mario.
think that's a wrap, man. I feel like it's been an hour and it felt like 5 minutes, to be
It
honest.
did actually, huh?
Wow,
Yeah,
It's just
great.
so
so interesting. There's so many topics we touched on too. It's
yeah, I mean,
been
it's
great.
great,
It's been
man.
great being here.
Thanks
Thank you guys
for,
so much too. It's honestly it's so cool to kind of be on the other side and be hosted as a guest instead of,
That's
being the one to generally
anytime,
lead the
man.
conversation.
Anytime,
anytime.
you're
Yeah.
very welcome here, and we appreciate you, and we love your work, and I think you're one of the coolest guys out there. And man, just keep hitting it, keep working towards your goals, and eventually something's gonna happen, right? And
Yeah.
the same I
And you too
want to
as well,
say,
bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
for
The
sure.
same I'm gonna tell the Divine Ideas or Ideas Divinas audience, right? Like just keep working, keep pushing, keep sending those likes, sending those comments as well, because we read them all and we take it into appreciation. And I wish everyone, and especially you, Kenny, good start of the week and have a blessed week and a blessed year for the
You
rest
as
of it.
well. So proud of
All
you
right.
guys for running this podcast and getting better with every episode as well. So
That's
keep it going, bro.
yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it all.